Item on there is an investment policy. Mr. Devine has some information in Van in regards to this. I don't think this item is needed tonight.
This was in regards to that certificate of deposit that y'all awarded to Edward Jones. They wanted a copy of our investment policy. We told them we didn't have one. The state has very strict requirements on what the county government can do, and so I sent him the code section that says basically we're limited to making our investments and certificates of deposit with banks that are FDIC insured, and that we don't have a policy. Our practice is to only do it with without having an early withdrawal penalty, but we don't have a policy. He was satisfied with that, so we don't need to create a policy because there's really nothing else you can do anyway. So.
Okay. The next item is the executive session. It's a personnel issue. Do I have a motion to go into executive session?
Well, I thought that before we go into executive session, that we're gonna discuss the issue first.
I think we need to discuss some issues in executive session first. It's come to light today.
We don't need to hear
Don't we need to?
from exactly what's going on, because how can we make a decision in executive session and we haven't even heard what's going on?
That's right.
I think you're gonna hear. I think you're gonna hear some of it first in executive session first. Okay.
What we need to do is be able to pick up, okay, who you gonna hear from the executive session? Who's gonna be in the executive session?
No one but this board and the county administrator and the county clerk at the beginning of it.
Madam Chairman, excuse me if I'm in order. But normally when we have personnel issues, we listen to the issues and then we go to executive session. Dan?
No, you generally discuss your personnel issues in executive session, and then if you need to have additional findings, then you do your independent investigation outside of that. So I think it would be appropriate to start an executive session, and then if you need additional input, then solicit.
Okay, so in the executive session, it's just the county commissioner, the clerk. Yes, sir, yes, what you see sitting around this table?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, okay.
Invite them. Since I've been on the board, we normally listen to the issues. Even when we had the road department issues, we had them to come in and we listened to each one of them.
We did that, but we were in executive session when we had those individuals come
Yeah, we
speak.
were in
Because you invited them to enter your
There's
executive
very
session.
specific reasons why you have things in executive session, and part of it is so that you don't
So we can't-
publicize accusations about people.
We don't make decisions in executive session
No,
anyway.
sir, we
No,
do
you
not.
The one you come out and then all they can speak.
That is correct.
Everybody can speak, okay.
That-
Everybody can speak. That'd be
Do I
fine.
have a motion that we go into executive session?
I make the motion.
Okay, do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? Okay, we are gonna go into executive session. I apologize to
Won't be long,
everyone.
though.
We will not make any decision in this executive session, but we will come back out as soon as we're finished.
We'll hear from them.
that you pen and ink without making the corrective actions and annotating those. And there's no annotations. And again, I don't think, I I do think, and it's not my position, but I've already stated, I've already contacted the Secretary of State's office, and now, Madam Chairman, I think excuse me, I think that your capacity as the chairman should be to contact the Sheriff's Department and to notify them that there has been some fraud committed and that it needs to be investigated immediately, because this election is not going to ever be certified as long as you have this shadow over it. And again, I think if Ms. Exum really understood this, knew what was going on, she would be the first one to say that her civil rights have been violated when someone else was added to this certification process. So I would like to know if even the Republican Party did they have a certified person doing the qualifying? Because if they had because that's the Board of Elections' responsibility to certify anyone from a party so that they can do proper qualifications. And if the party, if that party person was not certified to even qualify, just like then that person, then we have other problems. Now those, that's other issues to look at. But the Republican Party obviously do not know the rules, because they would have known that person could not have been added to this list. That person must be qualified, must be certified to make qualifications, to qualify a candidate. So there's some issues and do I think these things can't be corrected? Sure, they can be corrected. I want them to be corrected. We had a meeting Friday talking about that we need them corrected. I met with Deb, and Deb has talked back and forth to Ken. It's not to get Ken terminated. It's not to get the board decertified. But you have to understand, if this was you, you would not like it. You wouldn't want to tolerate it. And for anyone to get upset, to be questioned about this, and the way your attitude was, well, you got the wrong one, you got the wrong one, you got the wrong one. That is why the citizens of Brooks County has no faith in this board.
Not a system.
And with that, I'm going to have to leave, because
Can you stay just a second? I'd like to make a comment. I'm one of the commissioners here.
Yes, sir.
These aren't my employees.
Okay.
And I would like to make a quick comment that I appreciate what you've done. As we mentioned earlier, or as was mentioned earlier, this is all new to us. We're trying our dead level best to make sure things are done correctly. I thank you for bringing this to our attention and bringing it early enough to get it cleared up, and to take the pressure off of Ken and take the pressure off of the board. Because I was here also that particular day when the certification, or not certification, when the time thing ran out. So when I left out, it was under my impression that everything would be from there on done correctly. And so, being new, somehow or another, we've got a glitch. And you're absolutely right. I think you make a good, valid point. I appreciate you taking your time to come over here and help us. Because that's what I think Madam Chairman said at the beginning of the meeting, we need help. And also we need, in addition to help, we just need, as was mentioned, patience and also cooperation. And that's what we want. We want this environment, as a commissioner, you can see in this little community we're in, we're trying to stretch every dime that a taxpayer pays to the maximum. And we have taken out of good faith and added money in. We went to the school system and tried to get a facility that would have made this a lot easier. Would have made it all much more open. They wouldn't be little individual rooms scattered around, because we're taking and rehabbing a building that was available, Mr. Cunningham. And we want people to feel this wonderful privilege that our forefathers and everybody that's ever fought a war to give us this freedom. And we want to have, I appreciate what I heard about having an upbeat attitude, a smile on our face. We're all God's people, and together. And that's what I want. I want them when they come in to be able to vote. I like Zurich. I don't like Billy Bob. I'm going to vote for Zurich. I think he's the man I want. I want that ability. And we're trying. This whole thing, you heard, you know the situation. Whole new redistricting, whole new group of people. But we're trying, and we're trying to do it right. And we appreciate anything that you can help us with. We appreciate what Ms. Deb is doing over in Lowndes County. That's why the commission on the second go-round elected to hire Ken from Deb's recommendation to help us get through this process. I have no idea how certification goes. I'm not an expert on that, but I am an expert on listening and watching body language. I was in sales for 30 some odd years. I know when people are amiable, and I know when people are hostile, and that's just a God-given gift to me. And I've heard too much hostility, too much anguish on both sides. And I want it stopped, I want it corrected, and I want to go forward with a smooth election in this community. And we've got precious few days to do that. We've got this lady that's never heard of this thing, this whole thing that's coming up day after tomorrow on the 19th. You know, I don't know if it can be extended or not, but it sounds to me like
Won't be here for a while.
if you know, because we've got to set the stage to not only in this election, but like you said, the most important election coming up is this one. The next most important election is if there's a runoff. The next most important election is November. And they've got to be correct. And everybody has got to feel comfortable and non-intimidated. And as a commissioner, that's what I'm trying, that's my goal. And that's the goal. But I already heard the process started. They're going to need some more money. We've already spent a new $100,000 and we haven't even got the early voting done. So I do appreciate you coming over. I appreciate your effort. I wish we had some of your experience on this end, and we appreciate good cooperation from you. So thank you for coming over.
Well, I
Thank you
agree
to the
with Joe.
board.
It
And,
is new. It's
I just
all
wanted
new.
to let you know the commission is interested. And we're trying, and we want to have the right frame of mind and everything by the book.
I volunteered for this position because America means something to me. And because the voting process is extremely important to me. I didn't take this position with the idea of making mistakes or causing anybody any harm. Okay, this was a mistake, obviously, that I've only been doing this for a year, and I have to tell you what, I'm still like the deer in the headlights. You know, for all of the rules and all of the regulations that you need to know. I didn't catch that. I thought the thing had been corrected before it went to the courthouse. Okay, I didn't know that. Now, if you want to go ahead and file for a felony,
Some stuff
do
on
it.
that, I appreciate it.
You know,
Thank
The chairman's job.
I'm not doing it. I'm not doing that because I know it was an honest mistake. I don't understand. I mean, I think we need to work together on this, and I'm not feeling that. I'm feeling that it's being picked apart rather than saying, what can I do to help you? You know?
So are you authorized me to go to the sheriff department?
If that's what you want to do.
You need to make a motion that I am authorized to go to the sheriff's office.
You are, you have your motion.
What I have to discuss here is that, like I said, I understand Mr. Collins when he said if somebody has a problem, to send them and have them call you. But you have to also understand that the fact that we are board members, if they feel the problem is with you, they can't come to us.
That's
And
so
then
true.
we can come to you and find out what's going on to correct the problem. One of the problems that was told to me that a customer came in and requested a sample ballot
Yes, sir.
and was told to show ID.
You want an explanation?
Let me finish.
Can I?
Let me finish
Well,
real quick, please.
Okay.
Was asked to show proper ID. saying is, what it was saying is there's disparate treatment in the office. And I would have looked into it and said, okay, well, maybe that was just something there. But to see it firsthand myself today, that a customer came in and I requested the same information and didn't have to pull an ID at all.
The first incident was Mrs. Brown, and it was the sole purpose behind just asking her if she had a driver's license with her, is because on that driver's license is everything I need.
Mm-hmm.
As far as date of birth, driver's license number, usually, and and the address. And Ms. Denard brought up a very important point, and I'll give her credit for that, is that technically all I needed was her address, and she's exactly correct. And since that time, all I've asked for is an address, because I can go in a back trace from the address itself. As long as they're a registered voter, they're going to show up in my registration listing, and I can go through there and get the same information and not even have to break a tone asking for it. All I got to have is an address. And so that particular incident, I take sole responsibility for that, and it was not intentional to target anybody. It was just I had not thought about, and that's the absolute truth, I had not thought about the fact that all I needed was an address and go in on screen 5 and get the same information. Now, if I need to contact Ms. Brown and give her an apology, I'll be glad to. But Mr. Nard brought up that one important piece of information about that all I needed was an address, and she is exactly correct. And I had failed to consider that whenever I asked Ms. Brown for her identification. It was totally innocent. And if she was offended by it, I'll call her and apologize. But we have to have certain information to be sure that we look up the right one, because there may be a Zurich de César of the second or the third, or just like yesterday, we looked up all the way from the second all the way to the fourth of this one particular fellow. His name. He liked his name, so he named his son that, and his son liked the name so well he has named his son that. The only thing then that distinguishes everybody then is birth dates. And it's totally innocent whenever I ask somebody, and Miss Brown, like I said, if she was offended, I'll be glad to call her up and apologize, because it was a totally innocent question on my part.
See, and I think a lot of this is they're just mistakes. They're things that we need to correct within the office. We're just humans trying to do the best job that we can do, and to make this office work. And now I personally am feeling like I'm being picked apart for every little thing. It's okay if you find a mistake and bring it to us. But I just, you know.
That is what I'm doing at this time, bringing things to your attention. Well, the reason then is, we're not perfect, I understand that. We're no means perfect. But if we don't correct our problems,
Yeah, you're right.
we're always going to have a problem. We, in this position, working in the public, we must be prepared to accept criticism.
Sure.
And if we are right in what we're saying, we must be able to go pull the documents and show them, okay, we have the right to do it. If we was wrong in any way, we need to correct that problem and give some sort of apology as dealing with the public.
I'll be glad to call Ms.
I don't think an apology is even appropriate. If the why hold two standards. If the public does something wrong, you're quick to saying, I read your last minute, fraudulent signatures and fraudulent things. If you do the same thing, and this is very serious right here, two separate things being, this is serious, that goes back to the Constitution. And if that's off and just say, oh, it's just a mistake. and just, we're gonna overlook it as a mistake. According to the law, that's a felony offense right there, that even exists. And it can't be just set up, it was a mistake, oh, it got past me. And you just say the certified third page when it's the same signature. That's serious. And if you're gonna hold the voters accountable to these things and having them come in for all these different things, by the same standards, you've got to set the standard, you've got to set this bar, and that's unacceptable. And these aren't just one thing happened randomly, it's like a cycle. You've gone through the training, this board's over a year old, and this behavior is not acceptable. We're looking to you for direction to make sure that we have an election that we can find credible, and we find credible the results.
And we're
This kind of
working very
behavior,
hard.
this behavior, you're working hard to discredit other people when you're not even doing what you're supposed to be doing by law.
We're not discrediting anybody.
Well, I read the last minutes, it was about a signature, and you're ready to send it to the Secretary of the State Board of Elections.
What?
No,
About fraudulent behavior.
Nobody said anything about sending it anywhere.
Well.
no, I'll read it.
No, I've seen, I've heard reports, I've heard the comments about that, but I'm just saying, this same thing is, and just saying that this can't go out, whether Zurich takes it or not, it's going. It's already gone to the Secretary of State, it's going everywhere else it has to go, because it has to go. That's the whole purpose. We can't, now that I'm knowledgeable of this, I play a party to whatever's happening, the crime, if I allow this to be not taken to the authorities and the proper people handling it. You play a party to it. That has to go.
By right, as a board, if we don't take action, it's gonna fall back on us.
Yes, those two, we could.
Well, I
That's what
do
it's
agree
gonna
that we
fall
have to
back
take
on.
action, but I don't think I have to file a felony charge against the man because he took 30 minutes to figure out that he left somebody's name off a list.
But it's just not him, it's Ken. Ken's the one that signed it and notarized it. So it's your office too that played a part of that. This is the information that went in on the ballot. When that information goes in, it says on that it's just duly, this is the truthful, and da-da-da-da. That is not true. This could throw the whole election because people might be on that ballot that by law aren't even certified to be on the ballot.
And see, that code is coming out of this,
Okay.
that's why we as a board have to take action, because it falls back on the board. And we can't sit there idly by and just overlook it.
Why don't I just suspend myself then until y'all settle all that?
Well, no. This is ridiculous.
Because, you know, if I'm gonna be held responsible for something that I have a 98% assurity of, that Lee Larko did and not me, then, you know, best thing for me to do is suspend myself from this office until y'all settle it or it gets settled, and then I'll come back.
The way I look at it, if you had nothing to do with it, what I will need from you is an affidavit.
Exactly.
But somebody made a change on there, and that's what has to be done, with an affidavit from you stating that you, what mistake that was made, and you did not annotate anything on this. But it was brought to your attention. And in your affidavit, you have to name who brought it to your attention. And then that's the person who made the change.
So that's what we'll have to do, but in the meantime though, until that gets settled, then I'm feeling like I should suspend myself from any activity with the elections office until that gets settled.
That's what we have to call and find out the proper procedures on it.
Right.
For what?
The proper procedures in his place, since he has nothing to do with this, adding that on there. Mr. Larkey did, or one of his representatives. We have to find out what Ken's position is. If it's just doing, my understanding is he's just doing an affidavit. He had no knowledge of the changes, but it was brought to his attention that, did they say they was gonna make a change on it?
No.
Really, you know what, if you go any further, you're investigating. If you're gonna turn this over, you need to do it for
That's
story and do
right.
it.
That's right.
You can't
You get yourself
investigate
in
and be a part of it.
You cannot do it.
That's right. I want to send it.
So I'll suspend myself from any activity with the
What are you
board until
doing?
you get that straight.
What are you doing?
I'll be glad to give you an affidavit or a statement or whatever, but until that gets, settled, I don't want anybody thinking that, we're trying to do anything underhanded or above,
I understand that, Ken. I understand it, but as a board member, we have to look into it or have someone look into it.
I understand.
So that's where it has to go from there. It needs to be looked into because I don't want that to fall back in my lap.
So, in essence then, I need to suspend myself from any activity with the elections office until that gets settled.
What are you doing?
Excuse me, y'all. I was asked a question, and I'd like to respond to you because I am recording. What I'm doing is that I'm recording.
You know what? You should not be doing that without informing us ahead of time.
Okay, let me. You asked me a question. I want to answer, if you allow me. Will you let me answer my question?
Go ahead.
If this is indeed a public meeting, I have a right to do this. It has been proven over and over again in the courts. I go all to these cities, Lakeland, all around. This is what I do. So I'm just recording a public meeting. Now, if what is being discussed would have been determined by you, the chairman, or whoever, if it's possible for you all to do an executive session to discuss your matters, which I think maybe should have been there, then I know the procedures, and I definitely would not try to come in that executive. But if it's a public meeting, I have a right to record and to record.
He's right.
And so
Okay,
so
so
when
we
you
are-
ask, so I just answered your question, and that's my point.
All right. Well, we are going to call an executive session at this point. The rest of the meeting is adjourned.
That's not a
Okay,
way to do
you
it.
can't-
So
yeah.
in order to
I'm
go to
sorry.
executive session, you have to state the reason for it. There's only 3 reasons you can go into it. You have to have a motion to go into it. You have to tell us the reason you're going into it. And then when we come back, you have to tell us what was discussed. So, I'm just,
And there must be a
if it's
vote
legally
on it.
executive session, anything other than that is sunshine.
Okay, so go ahead. What else? I just am feeling very threatened at this point and very just picked on and torn apart for people who have worked so hard trying to put something good together.
Ma'am, when it's fraud, you gotta realize this is a very serious matter. And if you went through the training for 1 year, subject of anything is unknown is to be questioned. And the stamps and document prove this stuff.
There's already one situation where we have to go see the state board that we had no knowledge of.
That's right.
I don't want this to be the second.
I'll do what you have to do. Are there any other questions? Okay, the meeting's adjourned.
Was that voted on?
It guys.
We have to vote to close the meeting.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, moving and second.
Technically you do. Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Can I have a...
So he did his resignation, you stepped
Oh,
down?
no, I'm not resigned. I'm just saying that if it's the board's wishes, that
I don't think you can suspend yourself, I think the board has to suspend you.
well, that'll be up to the board then.
Okay, I would like to adjourn the meeting.
Well,
Zurich, you have to do that, Zurich.
Somebody.
Zurich, she can't do it. You have to do it.
Address the cause.
While I make the motion, while this is up on the investigation, that Mr. Collins will be suspended from the board until further notice from this investigation,
Very well.
pending the outcome of this investigation
Suspended from the board.
from the election office.
I'm not seconding. I need somebody to second that.
That's all right.
That's all right, and that's
That's
it.
all right.
It goes no place.
So it goes,
It goes.
not,
Right, it goes no place.
it goes no place.
Right, now you can join the meeting. You can offer permission to join the meeting.
I'll make a motion that we adjourn the meeting.
Is that second?
The chairman has to say.
Yeah.
The chairman has to say
They don't
something.
do, okay. So,
The meeting is adjourned.
okay.
You call me up on-
Is this everyone?
Kids coming.
Thank you all for being patient. We are now out of the executive session and we're back in the special call meeting. And it's conversations on a personnel issue. Do we have any recommendations from this board in regards to the executive session?
Madam Chairman, at this time, right, everything is in order. I make a motion, you understand, that we terminate, you understand, the election of supervisor.
For what reasoning?
Okay. For falsifying, you understand, documents, and I think we had something else written down also. And one more, what was that?
Mr. Cody?
I say you have wrote down over there, didn't you? Did you write them down?
Incompetence,
Incompetent, right?
making an improper
Falsifying documents.
publishing, falsifying documents.
I have a motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Uh,
Anyone opposed? That motion carries. I'm sorry. The third item we have on our agenda is the appointment to the Board of Elections. This item was tabled, I believe, at our regular session. And do I have a recommendation for the appointment to the Board of Elections?
I recommend that we keep this exchanger. He had no desire to want to come out.
I have a recommendation. Do I have a motion? Do I have a second?
I second that.
All right, any discussion in regards to that? All in favor? Anyone opposed? That motion carries. I have a motion to adjourn.
I make that motion.
That's on move.
Do I have a second? Any discussion? All in favor? That motion carries. Thank you very much. Thank you for your patience tonight.
You got it? I'm gonna come back up ahead of you ahead of this time.
I asked my ex if she wanted to make comments concerning the action that was taken tonight, and she said no, and therefore I cannot interview her. If anybody else would like to talk, I will do that. But this is in Brooks County, and I'm George Boss Ryan with the Getto Free Press. Peace to you. Bye-bye, we're gone. Okay. This is the Getto Free Press, and we report what others ignore. This is your First Amendment right to know without whiteouts from a controlled news media whiteout network. And we are located in Valdosta, Georgia, and we are here to inform, educate, and persuade if necessary. Always keep that in mind. Moreover, I want to say to you that as a community, state, nation, and world, we are not who we claim to be, but who we prove ourselves to be over a given period of time. And if we are a liar, time will tell. And if we are racist or hater, time will tell. And our righteous and holy God already know. So you are only fooling yourselves. Again, the Getto Free Press. I'm George Foster Ryan.